Okay, with our QSC Rogallo constructed now, it's time to start putting electronics in it. And we're going to talk about some of these, but I'm not going to go into any great depth. What I'll do is on allthingscrash.com, under our Scratch Build series, where I'm putting the article for this entire build together and also compiling all the videos in one place, I will have a detailed breakout of the motors and all the stuff that you'll need, and I'll even include some links. Now, just about everything you see here, I actually got from my buddy Jeff over at headsuprc.com. So that's where these materials have come from. I've used a couple of different motors, but on this build that we're doing here on camera, we're going to use for the motor, we're going to use a headsuprc 2410-09. That's an 800 kV motor. And you can see here, I've got the stick mount on it. That's the one we're going to use. We're not going to use the firewall mount. For propellers, now I intend to run this. This plane does fly in calm air. It flies okay on a 2S battery. If you're going to fly it indoors or in a dead calm afternoon, it'll fly okay on a 2S. I like to fly 3S, so the performance is a little more spirited. And for this 2410-09, I'm using GWS 1047 props. Now with the motor, you're going to get these little flat washer and a couple little nuts. You can actually use that to put the prop onto the motor. I, however, like to use prop savers. And you can see here I've already installed a prop saver on here. So that's the way I'm going to do. Additionally, I've got a 22 amp receiver, electronic speed controller that I also got from Heads Up RC. Got my little Spectrum AR400 receiver. And let's see, I've got, shopping over at Heads Up RC, it only cost a few dollars, and these are 9-gram servos. And you'll notice I've already mounted them into our servo mount that we cut out and laminated, piece of, I guess it was, 3/32 balsa with 1/16 ply. So I've already mounted those in. Other things that you're going to want here, you're going to need push rod material. I like to get from Dubro, one of my favorite manufacturers, I like to get these 12-inch 256 rods that already have the clevises put on them. We can see that. That's one of the things that I like to buy. I usually keep a couple of packages of those around just for these kinds of projects. For our control horns, there's a lot of different ways you can go, but I like to use the Micro 2 control horns from Dubro. Cost about $1.25. Again, you can get these at Heads Up RC. I think I actually got these from my local hobby shop. But when you take a look at these, hopefully you'll be able to see, there are two little prongs there, two little shafts that you can actually stick through our our elevator or our rudder, and just poke a couple of holes, stick it in, secure it with some CA glue. Those work real well. Now, additionally, I like to use, get that out of the way, I like to use the Dubro Easy connectors. And I'll just show you the tab. I've already got them installed, but these are easy connectors, and they, knocked down my glue gun. They facilitate an easy and adjustable way to mount your servo arm to your control horn, as you can see there. And I've already got these installed. You probably will find that with your servo, this easy connector is not going to go into your servo horn holes. And depending on what servos you get, there'll be different sizes. Well, I go old school. I just take my X-Acto blade, choose the hole that I want to use, and just spin it in there as such to open the hole. Back and front, you don't want it to be too tight. You want it to where it spins freely, but it's not the hole. You don't want the hole all wallered out where it can be a slop in the linkage. And I've got some Velcro here. And well, what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to start off with, to put these electronics in, we're going to put our motor in. Now, I am using a hardwood square dowel 3/8 3/8 inch square, and you can probably already see there maybe I've got a little hole drilled, and basically I'm just going to slide the motor mount on there and set it with a screw. If you have opted to use balsa for your fuselage stick, then you're going to want to take your thin CA, and after you've got your, after you got the hole drilled, or I would not even drill it, I would just thread it in with whatever screw you're going to use to hold the mount. At that point, I'd pull it all back apart and I would wick in thin CA all around that to strengthen where the motor's going to mount, because balsa is a little soft and it's going to want to waller out a little bit. Yeah, there's a good technical term, waller out. Anyway, we're going to put our motor on as such, and somewhere around here I've got the screwdriver, but this is very easily done. This is, I particularly like using the hardwood for this because it makes a nice strong motor mount. Yes, I got diabetes, so I've got the shakes, and I'll do that later. Okay, as well, you're going to want to mount, I've got Velcro here, and we're going to want to mount our receiver. Now, I'll pull up my old plane and show you how I've got it done, but I've just got this receiver Velcroed on. Now there is a little thing here I want to share with you. Because this is a 3S battery and it's a little big, it Velcros onto our battery bay, but I've also got a Velcro strap around it to hold it in place. But because, put that back in place, Velcro doesn't like to stay stuck to wood. One of the things that I like to do here, I've done this on many occasions, so I'll take an old razor blade. Remember, I like to use just the regular single edge razors. And that's where our glue gun's going to come in. I'm going to put my Velcro strap right here. So I like to put a little glue down, just like that, and take the back side of my razor and smear it flat. And in doing so, I've kind of sealed that wood, and I've given our Velcro something to stick to. So I think this was the one that I had right here. That putting that back side of your razor down and flattening out that hot glue will help it to cool almost immediately. Now when I stick my Velcro on, it's going to stick a lot better. I don't have to worry about this vibrating loose in flight. As well, we're going to do the same thing down here on our battery tray. I'm just going to smear some glue on there, and before it sets I'm going to flatten it out and fight with the glue strings. And we'll put our Velcro here as well for our battery. I can get that on there. I'm just kind of positioning it right about where I think the battery's going to have to go. And we'll do the same thing for our receiver. And I'm going to double check where I put my receiver. And we'll do the same thing. I'm going to get yet another. Once the hot glue has cooled on the back of your single edge razor, carefully, don't cut yourself, but it usually will just peel right off and let you use the back side of that razor again for the same thing. Now I got two fresh ones there. We're going to do the same thing where we're going to mount our receiver, and I'm just going to put a nice liberal dose of glue down and flatten it out. While it's hot, I can actually get a little more there. I learned this trick a long time ago, and I got to tell you, it works really, really well. And I can get it on the camera. I can stick this one down. And I don't have to worry about those Velcro patches coming loose. They're going to stick real nice there. I can go ahead and stick on my receiver. I'm going to have it about right there. I already had the other side of the Velcro on my receiver, and that's on there. And the same thing for my speed controller. And because of the length of my wires, I run the motor hookup wires to the back and the power wire and the servo wire to the front. I'll just mash it in there like that. And I'm going to go ahead and try make another attempt, stick this motor on. Now, the reason that we're going to put these on first is it's going to help us to determine how our weight is. We're going to set the CG on this airplane right at about 1 inch behind the spar on the sail frame. Screw that all the way in. There we go. I'm just going to hook up these wires. I don't know how, if I've got the motor direction correct, but we can always swap those later if we need to. As such. And we're even going to put the prop on, because that's going to weigh into our final weight of our aircraft. Got my O-ring here. Trying to get it here where you can see it. Okay. I'm just going to bring this wire here around. And I can go ahead and plug it into my receiver in a minute, but most of the things there are in place. Okay, now we're not going to glue down our servo mount just yet, because after we get push rods laid out roughly, then we'll want to be able, because we can move this back and forth to help us to achieve our center of gravity. But you want when this thing is all assembled, you want to be able to put your finger against the spine, about right there, and set it up and that's about where your balance point is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and tidy things up here, and we'll talk next about hooking up our linkages. Okay, I have found the position that I like for my servo tray, and I have glued it in place. Again, I had set the wing on and checked where CG would be, and this is where I like to have it, right in this location. Now, I've also already run, as you may be able to see on camera here, I've already run a push rod through the connector, the easy connector, and I have put on a control horn. I've got a nice straight linkage. Don't know how well that's going to show up. Anyway, though, when I get to this point, this is not glued in. All I've done is poked a couple of holes through the rudder so that I could get that, to check the position and make sure I had it where I wanted to have it. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess of that 256 wire. Now, something that you can do with this scrap, I've actually got a 256 wire scrap here that I've been using for a while, but I actually will use that to, let me put this back in there, to poke the holes necessary for this push rod, or for this control horn into the rudder. And I'm going to show you a little, quickly how I go about doing that. I'm going to mock everything up. I'm going to go ahead and slide push rod into the easy connector. I'm going to bring it up into place, kind of line it up. Ideally, you want to try to position where the clevis and control horn match there. You want to try to position it right over the hinge line. And you're not going to be able to see this on camera, but I'm going to go ahead and do my best to set this up. But I'm going to roughly position that where I want it. And I'm just going to push down on the two prongs that are coming off the control horn, and it's going to make two little indentions into my elevator. Well, I'm going to take this piece of 256 music wire, and I've actually taken and filed it down to, I cut it first with my diagonals, and then I filed it, so I can actually take this and use it kind of like a drill. I can put it in the recesses that I've got, and just kind of spin it, and with a little bit of pressure, I can push all the way through. And I'll do that here. I'm just going real slow and spinning it. I'm all the way through. Now I can hook up my linkages. And I'm going to set that fairly neutral and go in and cut this side. You know, some of us don't have drills, drill bits that small. I'm one of them. So what I like to do though is use the materials that I have at hand. And I've been notorious for that in the past, for using stuff that I already had to make a tool. Done that many times, and I urge you to do that too. It keeps you from having to stop your build just to run to the home improvement or wherever you want to go to pick up a tool. And there we go. I'm just cinching this down to lock that in place. I'll do the same over here if I can find the other screw. Now what we're going to do, since I've got this set up where I want it, pushed in place, I'm just going to tighten these easy connectors down to capture that 256 wire. And then what we'll do is we'll go in and glue those in place. The control horns on the control surface, I'm actually going to glue it in place using just medium CA. And we'll let it set. There we go. So what I'll try to do is I'll use my CA bottle with my applicator. Yeah, there. And I'll push it up close and try to work some CA into the holes. I'll even put some on my easy connectors, or my control horns, and then I'll push it in place. Once the glue's on there, I'll push it in place and leave it alone to let it dry. And then as well, I'll probably come in and just put a glob of CA on our little studs here on the back of our control horns and just build up a little glob on there as well as on there. And that'll help us to keep that control horn from pulling out. Now at this point, you really should be ready to go fly your new airplane. I will leave your control throws up to you. I would say, the way I do it is I always set my throws on my rudder, my elevator a little on the high side, because you can always go back and dial it down later and tame it down to your taste. I would rather have too much control on a first flight than not enough. Just be wary that just, little stick movements is all it's going to be to make it jump, to make it hop off the ground and make it turn. So, nice, easy stick movements, and then just dial down your rates or reduce your rates until you get to a point where you like it. And with that, I think we're going to conclude our build. I'll try to capture some video of this thing in flight. Next opportunity I have, it's windy again today. I'm going to replace these funky looking little wheels because I just need to go to the hobby shop and buy some real wheels. Those look kind of stupid, and I need to open them up anyway to get them to spin on this music wire. But when you get ready to put your wheels on, you might also, for whatever size music wire you're getting, get you some Dubro, what are they called, wheel collars. Because if you get a 4-pack or 2 2-packs, I forget how they're sold, but you can put a wheel collar on the inside, cinch it down with a grub screw, put one on the outside, cinch it down, and that'll keep that wheel from falling off in flight. And as well as it'll allow you to cut that shaft shorter if you want. But you don't want to set your wheel collars so close together that the wheel won't spin, so be wary of that. But at this point, I think we've pretty much concluded our build of our cool little QSC Rogallo. And if you have any questions, you can certainly email me at crash.hancock@gmail.com. There we go. So, see if I can zoom out a little bit. That is all the little bit that I've got. So, anyway, There's our QSC Rogallo. I'll take some pictures of this, lots of close-ups and such, and create a little gallery on allthingscrash.com so you guys can see if you have had a problem understanding something, then hopefully the pictures will clarify. Thanks for watching this series. I appreciate any feedback that you've got, any criticism, and hey, let us know what you want us to build next. I think we're going to do a foamy build this summer, just because I haven't done one. I haven't built a foamy on camera ever, and I certainly haven't built one in a while myself. So, thanks for watching, and we appreciate your support. Get out and build something, fly something, and enjoy this great RC hobby. Check us out at thecrashcast.com.